am 32 and married to Daniel, who is 36 and steady as the tide in Halibut Cove. He never raises his voice, never forgets the anniversary of the day we met on the ferry, never lets the gas gauge dip below a quarter tank. I am the one who interrupts strangers at the dock to correct their pronunciation of fjord, who buys $300 hiking boots and returns them after one muddy trek, who keeps a mental score of every time I have been the bigger person. I have said aloud more than once that Daniel is lucky I settled. The moment everything cracked open happened on the wooden deck of the Blue Marlin Grill. It was the first warm Thursday of June, the sun still high over Kashamak Bay. Half the town was crowded around picnic tables, sipping spruce tip ales. I was on my second, waving my phone like a trophy. Look, I announced, 30 days and I am already fielding offers from the Seattle office. They want me to head the new brand division. Upgrade complete. Daniel sat across from me, elbows on the red-checked tablecloth, fingers wrapped around his untouched pint. His eyes flicked to the screen I shoved toward him. You are leaving in 30 days, he asked, voice soft. No, I laughed. But once they see how fast I can level up, I will name my price. Maybe I will keep you around as regional support staff. The table went quiet. I heard someone suck in a breath. Daniel S. knuckles whitened around the glass. Then he stood so fast the bench scraped back and clattered. Let me get this straight, he said, loud enough that the next table stopped talking. You brag you can upgrade in 30 days, and I am the old model you are trading in? I rolled my eyes. Do not be dramatic. It is called ambition. No, he said, voice trembling but clear. It is called contempt, and I am done paying for it. He walked off the deck, past the driftwood fence, down the gravel path toward the harbor. I watched his shoulders stay straight until he disappeared behind the net sheds. I turned back to the table, shrugged, and took a long sip. He will cool off, I told everyone. He always does. 3 days later, I found the ring box sitting open on the hallway dresser. The platinum band was gone. I texted him, where is my ring? Delivered, then nothing. No typing bubble. No reply. I drove to the boatyard where he was mending a trawler. Daniel stood on the scaffolding, smudged with engine grease, sunlight catching on the streaks in his dark hair. I climbed the ladder 2 rungs at a time. You took my ring, I said. I need it back. He looked down at me, eyes flat. It is on eBay, he answered. Auction ends at 9. I suggest you bid high. I laughed because surely he was joking. But he turned back to the winch and began coiling rope with precise, indifferent motions. I tried to smooth it over the way I always did. I brought him his favorite halibut tacos from the stand by the docks. I left them on the workbench with a sticky note truce. He moved the box to the scrap barrel without reading the note. I sent long voice messages while driving the Seward Highway, explaining that I had only been teasing, that anyone could see I was proud of him, that ambition was not betrayal. I ended each message with an upbeat see you at home, but the house stayed dark when I arrived. At week 2, I showed up at the monthly bonfire on Bishop Beach. Orange flames licked the cool night air. I spotted Daniel across the circle, talking to Marina, the marine biologist with the freckled arms and easy laugh. I pushed between them. Hey, husband, I said, sliding my arm around his waist. He stepped sideways so my hand fell away. We need to talk, I whispered. We just did, he replied, loud enough for Marina to hear. Then he walked to the far side of the fire and did not look back. Friends I had known since middle school suddenly had other plans when I texted. My mother left a voicemail, sweetheart, maybe give Daniel some space. Even my little sister sent a meme that read, not everyone is a project. I drove to the little rental cabin he had moved into, a cedar box tucked among spruce at the edge of town. I brought the first edition book of sea charts he had been hunting for years, wrapped in navy paper. I knocked. He opened the door in sock feet, hair damp from a shower. I held out the gift. I'm trying here, Daniel. He took the package, turned it over, read the title, then handed it back. I do not want souvenirs of a marriage I am dissolving. I felt my throat close. You would throw away 10 years over one stupid comment. Not one, he said. 1,000. You just never counted. I started therapy the next week, because that felt like the kind of thing a person should do when everything unravels. I told the counselor I needed strategies to win him back. She asked what I missed about him. I listed practical things, the way he always filled the bird feeder, his steady paycheck, how he smelled like cedar after work. She asked how he felt. I stared at the ceiling. The divorce papers arrived by courier on a rainy afternoon. I sat in my parked car outside the post office, windshield fogging, reading every clinical line. He requested nothing except the items he owned before we met. I signed where the sticky arrows pointed, hand shaking, then drove to the cabin. I found the door ajar. Inside, 2 duffels sat by the wood stove. He was leaving, not asking. I blocked the doorway. I can change, I pleaded. I am changing. He zipped a bag shut, straightened, looked at me for the first time in weeks. I believe people can change, he said. I also believe it is not my job to wait around hopping. I stepped aside. He slung both bags over his shoulder, walked past me, paused on the threshold. For what it is worth, the ring sold for $2,000. I donated it to the Sea Life Center in both our names. You always said you loved those puffins. Then he was gone down the gravel path, mist curling around the spruce trunks. I stood in the doorway until the rain soaked my hair and ran cold down my collar. I thought I have lost the only person who ever kept me tethered. The thought felt like swallowing ice. I went back to the house we had shared. The living room echoed. His boots no longer lined the entryway. The calendar still marked the anniversary dinner we never had. I opened the freezer and found the last jar of smoked salmon he had prepared for me, labeled in his neat block letters. I held it against my chest and cried so hard my ribs hurt. 2 months later, I saw him on the front page of the local paper. He had bought the old lighthouse on Gull Island, was restoring it using reclaimed timber and solar panels. The article called him a steward of maritime heritage. I read every word twice, then folded the paper and tucked it into my top drawer like a relic. I tried to date. I sat across from men who talked about crypto and their exes and did not ask a single question about me. I excused myself halfway through dessert, drove to the overlook above the bay, and watched fishing boats blink their running lights across the dark water. I thought about Daniel up in his tower, probably drinking tea and listening to gulls. I wondered if he ever thought of me. The silence that answered felt final. Yesterday I drove past the Sea Life Center. There's a small bronze plaque near the puffin enclosure. In memory of a decade of tides, it reads, and then both our names. I touched the cool metal and felt something inside me break open and stay broken. I live alone now in the house with too many rooms. I keep the bird feeder full, because once someone I loved cared about the birds. Every morning I wake to the absence of footsteps on the stairs, to the absence of a voice calling me back to myself. I understand now that some upgrades cost everything.